everybody has a role in fighting the systemic economic structure of patriarchy.
And in building feminisms into our movements.
Patriarchy shapes society as a whole. It is the framework for the domination and oppression of homosexual, queer, and transgender people, and for the stunted development of men.
Together with the exploitation of colonies and oppressed nations and nature, it is the basis of capitalist accumulation.
We are trying to build the capacity of GGJ to engage with our international allies who are reclaiming feminism at the grassroots. And that involves following the lead of organizations like the World March of Women. Taking feminism back from the sort of disengaged versions that exist in the academic circles in the United States, where there's a lot of very good ideas and then very little engagement with social movements that are trying to make things right. GGJ is a grassroots alliance, so we have a lot of opportunity, and we have a lot of organizations that are made up primarily of women, that have leadership of women, particularly women of color. Queer and transgender people also hold leadership roles in our organizations and alliance, and that's unique.
Para la Marcha Mundial de Mujeres es importante que las mujeres podamos organizarnos desde donde estamos, desde quienes somos, y en esa diversidad vamos desarrollando y construyendo nuestros propios feminismos que complementan y enriquecen el movimiento feminista mundial.
The World March of Women is organized by regions. That each continent is a region. No? We have Americas, we have Europe, Asia, Africa, and Arabic world. We are building our feminism, as we say. It's not just one feminism, it's feminisms that we can bring together and we can develop.
At the social forum in Tunis, around this time last year, we had a session of exchange with Tunisian women's organizations about their struggles and their vision for another Tunisia and for another world, because there was so much ignorance coming from the US, even from those of us who are committed to internationalism, about what was really happening in the Middle East and North Africa. And what we kept hearing from our government was, well, these governments who are run by backwards people of color who don't know anything are oppressing women. And that's why we have to send in tons of weapons. That's why we occupied Afghanistan, because we're going to liberate women. And we were like, that doesn't sound right. I'm not really sure about that. But I need to hear from the people who know. And the people who know are the Tunisian women. And what we learned from them inspired us, because what we learned from them was the people organizing women and women of color in the United States, whether we organize them with a feminist lens or not, we were being misrepresented. Because what they asked us was, so is Hillary Clinton a feminist? Because she comes to our countries and she's a warmonger. And they're restructuring our economy and sticking Arab and North African women in sweatshops. And she's saying to us, this is progress, I am the face of progress. Do you think she is the face of progress? And we were like, no, I'm sorry. And then the question was, well, who's going to represent feminism if it's not going to be Hillary Clinton? And that is the challenge before us. Can we replace Hillary Clinton on the global scale? Can we take feminism back?
Feminism is actually liberation for all of humanity, and that there's a role for all of us to play, and in particular in the grassroots and within our organizations, the leadership of working class women and women of color. but then alongside the experiences of men and then the full spectrum of transgender people. Feminism speaks to all of our experiences and is actually about a liberation for all of us.
The thing I think that we're going to bring back to our organization, one of the things is a commitment to understanding how patriarchy gets in the way of meeting our objectives, and that we need to deal with it both in society and in our own movement.
And that's the process that we're entering into now, with the question of what does my work have to do with the system of patriarchy? And how does it connect? How do we pull up what we know from the daily work and the organizing? And how do we explore what we don't know? And what can it bring to our work? How can it deepen and strengthen our work to understand patriarchy and to commit to feminism?
Que si no quitamos los obstáculos que están en el movimiento, que no nos permite ser una fuerza más grande, no vamos a poder enfrentarnos a un sistema que permanentemente nos ataca. Entonces, en una discusión política grande, es probable que podamos encontrar las estrategias para lograr quitar los obstáculos y lograr hacer un movimiento mucho más fuerte.
From the situation that is going on everywhere, we say that we have to defend our territories.
Este es mi cuerpo, esta es mi tierra.
We are defending our body and our land. Este es mi cuerpo, esta es mi tierra. Yeah? And then we want to reinforce the idea that this is our territory, and we defend our territory.
Our organizations are full of women members, full of queer and transgender organizers, full of people who could really gain from a movement that challenges patriarchy. And I think we're in a good moment to ask ourselves, like, well, what would happen if we didn't? What would happen if we took up that space? What would happen if working class transgender people, if women of color on the front lines of union fights, if we were deciding and describing what feminism is in the 21st century? So there's a huge opportunity for our movement, our generation, to reclaim feminism from the bottom up in a way that's about people's struggles for a better life.
No war, no warming, build an economy for the people and the planet.